Next up, the equalizers, my favorite, right? So when I was making the order of these, I was like, if I could only keep one plugin for equalization, which one would it be? Definitely IEQ Pro. Very affordable plugin. It has so many options. It's not even fair. But, even though I call it the poor man's Pro Q, I don't have a problem using it. And it is by far my most used equalizer. So it gets top spot. But nipping on its heels is definitely Pink from Acoustica Audio. This is their API collection, unofficially, but I mean, come on, right? So they don't just have API EQs, they also have an API clone EQ, but what I love about it is it just makes tracks sound better and more high fidelity, more like realistic is the best way to put it. It's just so easy to shape tracks with this plugin. It does not work with everything, but drums, guitars, and strings in general. I love it, love it, love it. Next up, we got Novo from Tokyo Dawn Labs. And I've got to say, if I didn't own IEQ Pro, I would probably use this. But the bottom line is, I love this plugin. I love that it has that dynamics feature. And version 2 came out. It got even better. And I've been meaning to eventually get the gentleman's edition of this. So maybe sometime by the end of the year. But yeah, I highly recommend it. This is a free plugin. The gentleman's edition adds a few more features. But this one, I don't even know why they gave this away for free, to be honest with you. I'll just leave it at that. All right, secondly, next up, I should say, is Magenta. This is the Manly Labs collection of plugins from Acoustica Audio, and I love this plugin, particularly on vocals. I can make vocal cuts, and it doesn't destroy the vocal, is the best way to put it. And then the rest of the plugin, you have cool compressors like the Verimoo, like the, what's the other one? They have like an 1176 type of thing. They have an LA2A type of thing. So just overall, the Magenta collection is excellent. You have to be very careful though, because these knobs are small and there's a lot of gain range, but it's a nice EQ. It's actually the first one that I tried from Acoustica Audio back in, I believe, 2014. But it didn't look like this back then, and I really do hope that eventually they allow people to have the blue or green GUI like Magenta. I believe it was, version 4 had that. And I think this is the last Acoustica Audio EQ, but Navy 2 just came out last month. And it's cool. It's just a cool little plugin. And it's based off of, I believe, a Neve 2081 and a Neve 1081 vintage. And then you also have all these preamps that, it's different line inputs, and then you have different microphones, and then you have different buses. So this plugin has all kinds of cool stuff, and I didn't even talk about the compressor yet, which I won't talk about, but it's just a cool little suite of plugins, and it's very affordable. So Navy 2, I definitely recommend. Although Pink 3, man, I love this plugin, but between Navy and Pink, it's like these are like the workhorse plugin EQs for, analog flavor. Obviously, like I said, IEQ Pro is the one that I would use above all, but anyway, and also Pink 3 has the API 560 type of emulation. So anyway, the goodness keeps coming. Next plugin, haven't talked about this one yet, the British channel from IK Multimedia. This is their SSL 4000G channel strip plugin. Now, there are newer ones. I think there's one from Plugin Alliance, Brainworks, something or other. But look, I have this plugin and I like it. I don't use it as often as I probably should, but I can tell you that whenever I'm doing, for some reason, pop mixes, I will either use the British channel or the white channel. The white channel is an SSL 9000 emulation, I believe a 9000J. And this one, like I said, is the 4000. I don't know if it's E or G, but both of those are great. And moving on, these are some Volko audio plugins. And basically, why would I use this over Pink? Well, it's really simple. Either I'm going for a cleaner type of sound because this plugin does not emulate the harmonic distortion, but where it really comes in handy is that it barely uses any CPU and it barely uses any RAM, but it still sounds very good. And I have the full collection. So I have the 550A emulation, the 550B emulation, and the 560 as well. Again, these don't have the saturation or harmonic distortions that your typical emulation would have. That's a good thing in some cases. The really good part is, in a very busy mix, I can have API type of equalizers going without worrying about the mix falling apart. And Volko, I don't think I've ever had a crash issue with their plugins, so definitely check these out. And check out their other plugins too. I thought I was done with the acoustic audio plugins, but this is a more recent one. And what this is an unofficial emulation of the Dangerous Music Baxter EQ. I'm sorry, Bax EQ. This one's called Baxter. And it is mainly used on the mix bus, so for mastering. But, you know, it can be used anywhere, and although I technically can do it with IEQ Pro, there's something about acoustical audio plugins. Maybe it's placebo, but I like this. This plugin's great, and I highly recommend it because, well, it's free. So why not, right? Speaking of free, this one is also another freebie from Acoustical Audio. They gave a few free plugins out this year. Titanium, Based Arp. I really don't know how to pronounce this, but this is so cool because although it's not a Pultec emulation, it is a Pultec hardware clone emulation. I think it's based off the TubeTech. I really can't remember right now, but TubeTech something. And the idea is you can do that attenuate plus boost trick on kick drums, and it allows you to do that, which is pretty darn awesome. And that's really, really cool that Acoustical Audio gave this one away for free, because I have an old Pultec plugin that I really don't like. This helps if I want that sound, if I'm using real kick drums. But like I said earlier, I usually just replace the kick drums with trigger. But if you don't have that as an option, then you have to EQ your own kick drum. All right, next up, Master 432 from IK Multimedia. This is a Soundtech 432, I believe, C emulation. Whatever it is, it sounds good. Usually it's used on the mix bus, just like the Bax is, but you can use it on all kinds of stuff. It's a very clean sounding EQ, but it has a little bit of brilliance to it. I use it. Actually, I spent a good amount of money on this plugin, so I definitely still use it. But even if I didn't, I reviewed this one way back in the day, and I just really liked what it did for mixes. And although I use other plugins these days, this one still gets used. It does, and I don't know why. Anyway, next up, we got two Fuse Audio Labs plugins. One's a filter. Another one is like a program equalizer. And the cool thing is, it has very little to no phase shift. And it just has a different sound to it. I don't really use this plugin that often. I just got it like a month or two ago. So maybe I'll start using it on more mixes or masters. But the filter section is actually kind of cool. Instead of using IEQ Pro, maybe I'll start using this one just for a different flavor or something. I don't really know. But Fuse Audio Labs makes cool, as I've said before, esoteric type plugins. So like kind of out there plugins. Although this one, I'm surprised nobody emulated it really. I think one other company did, and Acoustic Audio did as well. But it's like the Langevin or Langevin, or I don't know how to pronounce that, but cool equalizer.